To the second round action, CBS Sports Golf analyst Mark Immelman and Doug Bell. Gentlemen, before we get into what we saw on Thursday, bit of unnerving news in the positive COVID test of Nick Watney. Mark, you were out there. How did word spread across the grounds, and what was the general reaction by those on hand?
The reaction was a little bit of a shock, I guess, but a lot of folks were sort of expecting something to the like. It was never, we all knew, although the tour was in this bubble and the players were inside the bubble, that no one was going to escape from this. I personally found out just via a message from my producer in my ear, and then they were planning for coming back from a break and just having Lisa Cornwall, who was doing the interviews for us, just cover the updates and the statements from the PGA Tour. Incidentally, I saw Nick Watney on the Wednesday practice round. From far away, I wasn't close, just for the record, and he looked sort of weak. I was surprised at the weak shots he was hitting, and he looked lethargic and a little down and disappointed, and I was like, wow, he looks like he's really struggling with his game. Well, lo and behold, now we find out he was diagnosed with the COVID-19. So a little unfortunate for Nick, but the PGA Tour are doing everything they can to make sure all of the health and safety protocols are still being respected.
Yeah, sports leagues around the world have made it abundantly clear that they have to expect and prepare for these positive tests, but the plan is to endure. When you look at this, do you get a sense that there's a break point, Doug? Where would that break point be where the tour says, we got to pack it up and head home?
Well, I don't think they're anywhere close to that right now. Jordan Spieth said it best when he said this was inevitable. We knew it was going to happen, and now we have to deal with it. And last week I was out. I'll be out again next week at the Travelers. Not the least bit worried at all, because I do think the PGA Tour has a protocol in place. I mean, they have 995 tests that were administered this week, just one positive test. And Nick Watney tested negative when he got on property and then did the right thing. He went to the doctor today and said, you know, I'm feeling a little bit different than I did yesterday. Let's retest. Thus the positive test. So the protocol is in place. It worked today. I did think it was interesting that they notified Luke List and Vaughn Taylor, his playing partners, at the turn. They had 9 holes to play, and so they had to kind of ponder that for the rest of the day. Vaughn Taylor is 6 under par, and he's playing very well, but he said it was a little unnerving at first, but both have since said they didn't really get that close to Nick. So again, to answer your question, I don't think we're even close to the PGA Tour getting to a breaking point yet.
Yeah, plenty of protocol and quality control to happen over the next 24 hours as they do try and ensure that safe working environment for these players, and we are wishing the best for Nick Watney. As for the quality of competition on course, it was a shot shaping and putting clinic on Friday by the 36-hole leader Webb Simpson. A career high of 186 feet of putts made in round 2. Doug, any reason to believe that the hot hand will cool over the weekend? Just really hard to keep up that sort of success on the greens.
I totally agree. 186 feet of putts. He was making them from everywhere. He had 8 putts made of over 10 feet, 5 putts over 15 feet. He made 3 putts outside 20 feet. It was a remarkable day. In the morning wave, he gained 6 shots against the field. I mean, that's uncanny when you look at the strokes gained number. Will he do it again tomorrow? The answer is no. It's very hard to duplicate that performance. He loves this place, and he loves putting on these greens, but the chances of him putting that good again, boy, that is a real long shot.
Well, Doug, I sort of tend to agree with you, but I will point out that when he won the Players' Championship a few seasons ago, he shot that electric second round, I think it was, of about 63 or so, and he was just going bananas out there, making putts from all over the place, and it was on the same Champions Bermuda grass we have on the greens here at Harbour Town at Hilton Head Island. So he's comfortable in the environment. He grew up playing in North Carolina. He's seen a lot of Bermuda. Now, will he gain 6 strokes on the field with a putter tomorrow? It's unlikely, as you point out, but the one thing is for certain, he seems to be gaining traction with the golf swing. The thing that impressed me today was the balls were moving in both directions, not just draws and fades, but highs and lows too. And the one examination that is crucial around Harbour Town is the ability to hit greens in regulation and fit the ball off the center of the greens to some side hole locations. And he seemed to do that. So right now, he looks like he has a full cache of weapons heading into the weekend.
Well, speaking of greens and regulations, you took me right where I wanted to go. Just one off the lead at 11 under. You'll find Bryson DeChambeau and those biceps of his. Guys, he's now played his first 6 rounds since the restart, a cumulative 25 under par. Mark, I know it's a small sample size, but is this now a guy that we have to put into that pool of players expected to contend each and every week they're out there?
I would say at the early outset, yes. The driver is a big weapon on the PGA Tour. We all know this. If you can drive the ball and keep it in play, and then to build on that scoring wedges and good iron shots, you have the leg up on the competition and you increase your probability of making birdies. We've seen that production out of him, and more than anything else, you know, the immeasurables of this to me are dynamic. The one thing that is crucial to a golfer is belief in what you're doing. And right now, Bryson DeChambeau is all in on exactly what he's doing. He's stated his goal. He's following it. There's been some criticism. There's been some praise. Bryson's got his head down and he's doing his thing. And if you're convinced about what you're doing and you're having success on the PGA Tour, I feel like you're on a winning wicket. So I feel like Bryson continues this rich vein of form for a while.
Yeah, he's a talented guy. Last week at Colonial, averaged 340 yards off the tee, and he was like a heavyweight boxer throwing haymakers. He was looking for the knockout. So far this week in 2 rounds, 281 yards off the tee, completely different ballpark, and he's dancing around throwing jabs. So we see 2 different Bryson DeChambeaus, and in both cases, whether it's 340 or 281, he's gained 2 shots on the field and strokes gained off the tee. So that's kind of interesting. And 3-wood's a pretty good weapon too. He hit a 3-wood at number 9 today in that front bunker, 308 yards, 1 hop into the bunker, and did not get up and down. In fact, if he'd birdied 7 and 9 missed short putts, might have had a 28 on that outward 9. But nevertheless, Bryson DeChambeau is right there, a talented guy. All the headlines about the long ball, but he's got all the balls in his game.
Well, he's a guy who talks to his putter, and that I can attest to. If he has that sort of conversation, that sort of correspondence with the clubs in his bag, I think he's going to be all right. It does promise to be another action-packed weekend of golf on CBS. Mark, what will you have your eyes on when you hit the grounds on moving day?
A couple things. All of the low scores in rounds 1 and 2 have come from the morning wave of players, and there's one Rory Mcilroy who finally found his groove today. Before today, his low round at Harbour Town was 71. Well, today he cruised around the place, and most importantly, Joe, the 2-directional miss he had going on in round 1, that is gone. The ball flight's tightened up. He shoots 65 to get to 5 under. So there's a low round 2 be had tomorrow. I'll watch for that, and then I'll keep my eye on Brooks Koepka. He is cutting an ominous figure right now. He spoke to me at the Players that was cancelled, and he says, I feel like I've got some traction with the golf swing. He reiterated that at Colonial last week. Brooks Koepka knows where the ball's going, and he's making putts. I'll keep my eye on him.
Koepka looked great. You're right, Mark. The low round in the history of the RBC Heritage on Saturday, the 3rd round, Dr. Gil Morgan shot a 62 in 1997. And I think there's a 62 out there. It's very moist. The greens are going to be very receptive again tomorrow. And I think the guys who go out early, kind of like Rory, have an opportunity to set the pace. But the one guy I'm following and the one guy I'm watching, and I called it as my sleeper pick, he was 66-1, Corey Connors, the Canadian, went out today and quietly shot 63, matching his low round of the season. And while the big names are grabbing the headlines, Corey Connors kind of flying underneath the radar. So look out for the Canadian, who, by the way, is one of the best ball strikers on the PGA Tour.
Fantastic stuff as always, fellas, and there's sure to be some fantastic stuff coming your way this weekend on CBS. Saturday and Sunday's round, available at 3 Eastern on America's most watched network. And be sure to keep it locked right here on CBS Sports HQ for live look-ins throughout the day.
Want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis. No yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.